श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। नमस्तस्मै सदेकस्मै नमश्चिन्महसे मुहुः यदेतद्विश्वरूपेण राजते गुरुराजते। नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। Viveka Panchaka, the first 5 prakaranas of Panchadashi, contains Tattva Viveka Prakarana, Panchabhuta Viveka Prakarana, Panchakosha Viveka Prakarana, Dvaita Viveka Prakarana and Mahavakya Viveka Prakarana. Mahavakya Viveka Prakarana contains only 8 shlokas and tells about the 4 Mahavakyas: Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Ayamatma Brahma. That is the final Upadesha. But yet there are many of us who have not been able to realize the meaning of Mahavakyas because of our various stages of avidya. So Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswamigalu takes us to Deepa Panchaka, 5 prakaranas, which are Chitra Deepa Prakarana, Tripti Deepa Prakarana, Kutastha Deepa Prakarana, Dhyana Deepa Prakarana and Nataka Deepa Prakarana. Each one is very interesting. First we will take up Chitra Deepa Prakarana. Here Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji straight away takes us into the Drishtanta itself, right from Shloka 1. This Prakarana contains 290 shlokas. There are plenty of interesting Drishtantas in this Prakarana and a lot of detailed discussions here. We will take it up stage by stage as Vidyaranya Mahaswami takes us right from very simple analogy of a painting and takes us from Chidabhasa up to Parabrahma. Let's see how it goes. Now, if one has to paint a picture, one needs a clean white cloth. And you can't paint a picture on the cloth directly because it will not be stiff, even and smooth. So the clean white cloth has to be smeared with starchy kind of thing, so that it will give a smooth finish and it will be stiff. On that, the painter first draws the outline with ink, and then he will start filling the outlines with the necessary colors to bring out the final painting. So this is it. So we have to remember 4 things here: the base white cloth, the starch on it, the outline and the final color. Here the white cloth is called dhauta. It will be clean white cloth, and then on that the stiffening agent is called ghattita. So there is dhauta and there is ghattita. Then the artist draws the outline with the ink. The outline is called lanchita. Then he fills it up with necessary colors, that is called ranjita. So we have dhauta, ghattita, lanchita, ranjita. So the final outcome of the painting is called ranjita, filled with all the colors. Now let us correlate these 4 elements with our Dashtantika. The pure white cloth, the dhauta, is the Shuddha Chaitanya, Parabrahma. Okay, the dhauta is Shuddha Parabrahma. Then we have ghattita. Because you can't paint straight away on the raw cloth, so that ghattita is Antaryami. We will go into the details of Antaryami, but first let us get familiar with the terms. Ghattita is Antaryami. Then we have the delicate outlines, that is Lanchita. Lanchita here is correlated with Sutratma. Then we have the colors filled up. So Ranjita is Virat. So we started with Dhauta, then Ghattita, Lanchita and Ranjita. And that is related to Parabrahma, Antaryami, Sutratma and Virat. Dhauta, which is equivalent to Parabrahma, is not capable of holding the drawing or the painting. On that we need Ghattita to prepare the cloth to create the scenes. So that is like Maya Sambandha with Parabrahma. So Shuddha Chit Swarupa with Maya Sambandha is Antaryami. Then Paramatma with Sukshma Pancha Mahabhutas creates Sukshma Prapancha is called Sutratma. So here Sutratma is like the outline of the painting. Before we fill the colors, the outline, the Lanchita is the Sutratma. After that comes Ranjita, that is colors are filled over Lanchita. That is like Virat, that Samashti Sthula Prapancha. So we have Shuddha Paramatma, Shuddha Chaitanya. Shuddha Chaitanya in the Upadhya of Maya becomes Antaryami, and then in the Upadhya of Sukshma Prapancha becomes Sutratma, and in the Upadhya of Sthula Prapancha he is called Virat. Just as all the elements like sky, hills, rivers, etc., and all the characters in the painting are all established on the Dhauta, similarly Shuddha Paramatma is the ashraya for all the Jada Padarthas and Jivas in this creation. Now in this painting there will be rivers and hills and rocks and many people wearing different kinds of clothes, and they all have various colors and shapes, but we talk about as the clothes that men are wearing in the painting. So we still look upon them as clothes that men are wearing. But these are only vastra bhasas. They are not real vastras. They don't serve the purpose of protecting the characters from heat or cold. So they are all vastra bhasas. They are imagined to be vastras, clothes. So just as the bodies of various characters, maybe devatas, manushas, whatever, are created on the painting, similarly all the jivas are kalpita in Parabrahma. In other words, they are adhyastha in Shuddha Parabrahma, which is because of Ajnana. So now the colors of the clothes are also abhasas. Now this is correlated with sukhas and dukkhas that jivas experience, and this is only related to Chidabhasa. Sukha or dukkha is not related to Shuddha Chaitanya. This is what we have to grasp in this context. Obviously they are not real clothes, they are called vastra bhasas, and even the colors filled into it are all. This is summarized in Shloka 11. Atma bhasasya jivasya samsaro natma vastunaha na atma vastunaha iti bodho bhaved vidya labhatyesau vicharanat. So from vichara we have to realize that samsara is only for chidabhasa or atma bhasa, not for atma itself. And what is the vichara to be done? It is said in Shloka 12. Sada vicharayet tasmat jagad jiva paratmanaha jiva bhava jagad bhava badhe swatmaiva shishyate. Which means we have to continue vichara of jagat, jiva and Ishvara until we realize that all that we experience as Chidabhasa is only mithya and only Atma is Satya. Until then the vichara continues. Therefore, with immense kripa on us, Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswami continues the discussion with another drishtanta here for us. This discussion starts from Shloka 18. Kutastho Brahma Jivesha Vityevam Chit Chaturvidha Ghatakasha Mahakashau Jalakasha Bhrakhe Yatha. Let's go into the details of this. In Paramartha Dasha, Chidatma is Advitiya, yet in Vyavahara, we experience Chidatma in 4 stages: Kutastha, Brahma, Jiva and Ishvara. Kutastha, Brahma, Jiva, Ishvara. Now let's take the example of Akasha. Akasha, though is only one entity, we experience it as Ghatakasha, that's the space inside a vessel. Then Mahakasha, the general external Akasha. Then he brings about the concept of Jalakasha and Meghakasha. When you take a ghata, a vessel, there is Ghatakasha inside it. When you fill it with water, then you can see the reflection of clouds along with the sky in it. That is called Jalakasha. So there is Ghatakasha, and in Ghatakasha, when you fill it with water, you see the reflection of Akasha above it, so that is called Jalakasha. Just as we have seen reflection of Akasha in Jalakasha, there are water particles in Megha that is seen in the sky. So each particle of each drop of water can reflect the space around it. So the reflected space in the water particles in the cloud is called Meghakasha. Though we cannot see it directly, we can infer it because we have seen the reflection of sky in the Jalakasha. With this, let us move over to the subject matter, Darshtantika. We have our Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Both these are Kalpita in Atma, which is called Kutastha here. Kutastha does not undergo any change. It is Nirvikari. Kuta is the base metal on which a blacksmith shapes other metals. So the Kuta, the base metal, does not undergo any change, but everything that goes through Kuta undergoes change. So Kuta is compared to Atma, which is changeless. That is called Kutastha. Generally, in other contexts, Brahma is also called Kutastha, but here, for clear understanding, Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswami has taken Atma as Kutastha, which is the Adhara for the two Shariras, Sukshma and Sthula Shariras. So we have to understand that both Sthula and Sukshma Shariras are Kalpita in Atma. Here in Sukshma Sharira there is Buddhi, of course we know, and the reflected Chit in Buddhi, the Pratibimbita Chaitanya in Buddhi is called Jiva, also known as Antahkaranavachinna Chaitanya. Now we will go back to the analogy. We have a pot filled with water in which the clouds and the sky are reflected. So when you look into the pot, you don't see the Ghatakasha, only Jalakasha is visible there. Which means because of water that is inside the pot, there is reflection of the Mahakasha there, which is called Jalakasha, and because of this we are not able to perceive Ghatakasha. So in this way, the water in the pot is like Antahkarana, which is nothing but avidya. So in this Antahkarana, Kutastha is reflected. So that is the Jalakasha. And because of this, we are not able to perceive Ghatakasha, which is always there. This is the effect of avidya, where we are not able to distinguish between Ghatakasha and Jalakasha. That is, we are not able to distinguish between Kutastha and Chidabhasa. There is Anyonyadhyasa because of avidya. Then there is discussion of Mula Vidya, which is the cause of avidya, and Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti of avidya is taken up. Putting it briefly, the experience that I do not know Atma is Avarana, and thinking that I am Jiva is Vikshepa. This is what is called Adhyasa or Bhranti. To make this more clear, from Shloka 33 onwards, he takes the example of Shukti Rajata. We all know that, very well known, shell silver Bhranti. When we see the shell and mistake it for silver, we don't see the triangular part of the shell, and the bottom side of the shell is dark. All those things are not visible. We only see the shining part and mistake it for silver. Here when we say this is silver, the this aspect comes from shell, which does not belong to silver actually. And when we say is, the existence, satta part also comes from shell, and it does not belong to silver because silver is aropita, it's not really there. Just as other aspects of shell, which are like the triangle shape and the dark side of the bottom of the shell are not visible, similarly asangatva aspect and anandatva aspect of chit or kutastha is not experienced in Chidabhasa. So then, just like we experience this aspect of shell in silver, what is the aspect of kutastha that we experience in Chidabhasa is the question. From shlokas 37 to 44, he explains the concept of Swayam and Aham. See, this aspect of the shell is the Samanya part, and the silver aspect of the Bhranti is the Vishesha part. So when we correspond this with the Darshtantika, the Swayam aspect is Samanya and Aham aspect is Vishesha. Why does he say so? Because when we talk about ourselves, we say I myself, he himself. Swayam Aham karomi, Swayam Saha Janati. So this Swayam is used commonly in everybody. So this Swayam aspect is Samanya. Aham aspect, Tvam aspect, these are all Visheshas. So just like this Amsha is Samanya, silver Amsha is Vishesha, here Swayam Amsha is Samanya, Aham Amsha is Vishesha. Which means Swayam aspect belongs to the Adhishthana, that is the Kutastha, and Aham aspect is Aropita. And since we use sentences like Swayam Aham Gacchami, etc., Swayam and Aham are not synonyms. They are not Paryaya Padas. They are two different things. Whereas Swayam, which is Kutastha, is not different from Atma. They are synonyms. In other words, Maya contains all the Jagad Vasanas necessary for creation. This Jagrat is perceived by Jivatma same as Chidabhasa. In Bijavastha, Chaitanya Pratibimba is not obviously perceived. It is like Meghakasha. It is only through inference that we know that there is Pratibimba in Meghakasha, that is in the water particles in the cloud. We have discussed this in detail earlier. Refer to again in Shloka 153. Buddhi is nothing but Parinama of Ajnana in Chidabhasa or Antahkarana. That is in Jagrat and Swapna. In Sushupti, we don't have the experience of Buddhi, whereas in Jagrat and Swapna, Buddhi becomes active. Where we can see the contribution of Chidabhasa, that is reflection of Chaitanya in Buddhi. Now with this background, let us try to match Drishtanta with Darshtantika. Cloud is Maya. Droplets in cloud, each droplet is like individual Buddhi, the Maya Vikara, along with its Vasanas. There is Chaitanya Pratibimba in this Buddhi like Meghakasha in the water droplets. Buddhi is able to perceive Jagat because of the Chaitanya Pratibimba. Which means Buddhi by itself is Jada like any other Jada Padartha. Only difference is it is able to catch the reflection of Chaitanya and it has got Pratibimbita Chaitanya there, so it is Chidabhasa. Otherwise there cannot be vrittis in Antahkarana. It is only through these vrittis that we get jnana of Jagat. So without vrittis there is no jnana of Jagat, and without Chidabhasa there is no vritti in the Buddhi. This is what is said in Shloka 154. Sabhasameva tadbijam dhirupena prarohati, that is the Jagrat. Ato buddhau chidabhaso vispashtam pratibhasate. And now comes the Shruti Pramana in Shloka 155. Maya bhasena jiveshau karotiti shrutau shrutam Meghakasha Jalakasha Tau Suvyavasthitau. That is, it is Maya that creates Jiva and Ishvara with Upadhi. Like Meghakasha and Jalakasha. Meghakasha is Samashti of Buddhis, that is Jivas, and Jalakasha is like Ishvara. Continuing in Shlokas 156 and 157. Meghavad Vartate Maya Meghasthita Tusharavat Dhi Vasanashchidabhasas Tusharastha Khavat Sthitaha. Shloka 157. Mayadhinaschidabhasaha Shrutau Mayi Maheshwaraha Antaryami cha Sarvagyo Jagadyonihi Sa Evahi. Ishvara with Maya under his control is Jagad Antaryami, Sarvagnya and Srishtikarta of Jagat. And in Sushupti he is the Chaitanya reflected in the Anandamaya Kosha. Now here arises a question. If Ishvara is Samashti of Buddhis and he is Sarvagnya, why won't Jivas also experience the Sarvajñatva? The answer to this is, samskaras or jnanas which happen to Vyashti Buddhis is highly individualistic. What happens in one individual Buddhi will not be known by another Buddhi. So what happens in Samashti need not be reflected in the Vyashti. And for this, Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji gives a very catchy drishtanta in his own style. When one sees a design on a cloth, say a flower or something, this design is made up of individual threads. But the design is contained in the collection of those threads but not in the individual strands of threads. So the design is in the cloth, not in the thread. This drives home the difference between Samashti and Vyashti very clearly. We are all like small threads in the grand design of Srishti. Next topic is that Ishvara is Antaryami. He controls and regulates Jivas through Vijnanamaya Kosha and also in Prithvi, etc., Panchabhutas. This is found in Antaryami Brahmana in Brihadaranyaka. The threads, the Tantu is the Upadana Karana of Vastra and it will stay in Vastra itself. Similarly, Ishvara is Upadana Karana of all things in creation and he also exists in all things in creation. So he is Antaryami. Now Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswami takes up this question. If Paramatma is Upadana Karana and he is everywhere, then why is he not visible? Why can't we experience him? We can see the threads in a cloth. You say that thread is the Upadana Karana for cloth. We can see the thread. Similarly, why can't we experience Ishvara? Very basic question taken up by Vidyaranya Mahaswami and answered very beautifully here. Here he says, in cloth we have taken thread as Upadana Karana which is visible to the eyes. What about Upadana Karana of the thread itself? So as we go deeper and deeper and as the Upadana Karana goes very subtle, then we will not be able to see the contents of the cotton. But Antaryami that we are talking about is very Sukshma, Atyanta Sukshma. Therefore, he is not Pratyaksha to the eyes. So we have to depend on Yukti and most of all there is Shruti Pramana. Since Achetana cannot move without the help of Chetana, if there is any movement we have to agree that there is a Chetana there inducing the movement. Though it is the thread that becomes a cloth, in Vyavahara we say there is thread in the cloth, but actually the cloth is in the thread because thread is Upadana Karana and it is Sukshma than the cloth, which means Vastra is the Sharira of threads. Similarly, coming back to Darshtantika, that is, It is Ishvara himself who is in the form of all things around in the world. So we can say that Jagat itself is his Sharira. Therefore he is Antaryami. When do we say that the cloth is folded? When the threads are folded, we say the cloth is folded. Cloth itself cannot fold by itself without threads being folded. When threads spread out, we say the cloth is spread out. When threads move, we say the cloth is moving. Otherwise, the cloth will be lying very inert. The cloth itself does not have the power to move. It is only because of the thread that all the movement and folding and opening happens in the cloth. This is exactly what is reflected in the shloka in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18, shloka 61. Again, very popular, my favorite shloka. Of course, everybody's favorite shloka too. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshejjuna tishtati bhramayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. So, yantra here is our deha. So, when we become arudha on the yantra, we climb onto the yantra of deha, that is, assume the deha bhimana. Because of Antaryami, we experience kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Once we get off from the yantra, either in sushupti or in pralaya or in mukti, then we will not be going up and down in this yantra. Then, if everything is going according to Antaryami, then where is the scope for free will, Purusha Prayatna? To this, Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji takes us to the final destination of this topic of Antaryami. He says, both Antaryami Prerana and Purusha Prayatna, both are in truth Ishvaradhina. And it is very important to realize that I have no business in any of these activities. That means stay in Sakshi Swarupa and be akartru. There you have to give up the kartrutva and bhoktrutva. That's the whole idea of discussing Ishvara as Antaryami. That is, the phala of all this discussion is that Atma is Nishkriya, and realizing this itself is moksha. Now coming back to Chitrapata, he compares Srishti Sthiti Laya to artist opening up his painting and displaying and then folding it back. Refer to shloka 182 to 185. He lists out types of Srishtis and Pralayas. It's like day and night, blinking of an eye, moments of silence and then start speaking, and the Srishti and Pralaya as we popularly know. These occur cyclically over the day and over kalpas. Next, on the question of Tarkika's Arambhavada and Sankhya's Parinamavada versus Vedanti's Vivartavada, he states an analogy saying that these people of other matas, they are deluded by adhyasa. When we show them an unstarched cloth and later starch the cloth and hold in front of them, they say they are both same. But in reality, they are not the same. They are not exactly the same. Because of adhyasa, they fail to recognize the distinction between them. Similarly, they are not able to distinguish between Ishvara and Parabrahma, hence all the confusion in their vadas. So here he gives another drishtanta. Akasha itself is very shubha. But when we see Megha in the Akasha, the clouds, we generally see it as the same Akasha, but actually it's not the same. Then Hiranyagarbha Avastha is like very fuzzy, like we see the world in dawn or dusk, or like Lanchita on the Ghatita. That's the outline drawn by the artist on the starched cloth. In this state, the Panchamahabhutas exist in Apanchikrita state. Another example given to Hiranyagarbha's state is when the seed sprouts into a sapling. Then Virat is like where Panchamahabhutas undergo Panchikarana. Just like a delicate sapling grows into a tree with clear distinction of trunk, stem, root, flower and leaves, etc. And coming back to Chitrapata, it is like the Ranjita, that is the outline filled up with clear colors. This is the Virat Swarupa that was shown to Arjuna by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, what we hear in Purusha Sukta, Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha, etc. is all description of Virat Swarupa. Okay, very nice story. But what is the intention of all this explanation is the question here. So Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji says, it's very important to know that the entire universe with all the animals and inert things are all puja, and they all give corresponding phalas. The Antaryami, the Ishvara, the Hiranyagarbha, Virat, Brahma, Rudra, Indra, Agni, Vigneshwara, Bhairava, Mailara, Mari, Yak, Rakshasas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, cow, horse, banyan tree, people tree, mango tree, dhanyas, grass, water, stones, mud, instruments, implements, ayudha are all Ishvara Swarupa. It's all explained in Shloka 206 to 208. Yet moksha is only through jnana. This is very important to be noted here. So jnana is like one waking up from dream. There are various vadas regarding Jiva and Ishvara who are Maya Kalpita, right from grass worshippers to Patanjala Yoga followers to Sankhya followers and Charvakas. They are all deluded in this regard. So he says there are three types of Bhrantis. Very important here. Classified as Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishtha. What is Uttama Bhranti? Though one has Panditya of Veda and Vedantas, but he has Andhashraddha in his own mata is considered Uttama. Then one without Shastra Jnana but has Andha Shraddha in his own mata is Madhyama, and Kanishtha is complete Nastika. Why he has done this classification is, though one may seem superior to another or inferior to another in Laukika, from Jnana point of view, they are all the same. So Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji says, what difference does it make when one dreams that he is a king or one dreams he is a beggar? They are all the same. So Mumukshu should never waste his time arguing about differences in Jiva and Ishvara. And he takes up a very important question here. Is it okay to go through the other Dvaita Matas like Sankhya, Yoga, etc. to understand Vedanta better? Usually we do this. So Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji says, it is okay so long as we don't get too involved with the Vadas there. And their final Nirnaya is still in the Bhedavastha only. Advaita Mata does accept Bheda in the beginning, as we started with Ghatakasha, Mahakasha, Jalakasha and Meghakasha, etc. But ultimately this is only to prove that there is no actual difference between Ghatakasha and Mahakashas, which are Adhishtanas of Jalakasha and Meghakasha. Which means Ishvara in the Upadhis of Anandamaya and Maya, and Jiva with Vijnanamaya in Buddhi as Upadhis. Adhishtanas are the Kutastha for Jiva and Brahma for Ishvara, and all this Vichara should end in Advaita Bhava. That means the Jnana that Kutastha and Brahma are non-different. For example, there's a person who weaves the cloth. The society calls him a weaver. When his father comes in front of him, he says, he is my son. So society calls him weaver, father calls him son. But just because he is called by two different names, there are no two different people here, there is only one person. This is the Advaita Sthiti. which existed prior to creation, during creation and after Laya also. This does not undergo any change. Again the question, if so, then why do we not experience it? So the answer again given is, we do experience. The Chit aspect is experienced all the time, as we had seen in the earlier prakaranas. When we say, I know the pot, only the Chit aspect is experienced. That means we experience Advaita only partially, not the complete form. To which Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji answers, even in Dvaita Prapancha, we experience Dvaita only partially. How? When we see a cow, we see only one portion of the cow and assume the whole of the cow. When we say, I see a tree, I see only a portion of the tree, like portion of the trunk, only few leaves. I don't see the entire tree or entire trunk or all the branches. That means even in Dvaita Prapancha, we experience only partially. This is given in Shloka 243. So, experiencing one aspect is common to both Dvaita and Advaita, so the Dvaiti cannot point it as a dosha on Advaitin. Now, he moves on to establish that this Chidvastu is Swayam Prakasha. Why? Because Chidvastu has no Pragabhava. Dvaita has Pragabhava Sthiti as we experience in Sushupti. So Chit is Swayam Prakasha, it is Nitya and Aparoksha. So if one says Advaita is not Aparoksha, then it is as absurd as one person screaming, I do not know how to speak. Then the next obvious question arises, if it is Aparoksha all the time and Swayam Prakasha, still why is it not experienced by us? For this he says, all this vichara will yield result only if the mind is bereft of all desires. He attains Amritattva, and this is called Hridaya Granthi Bhedana. Once this is achieved, the Jnani has to wait till the Prarabdha is exhausted. Here Bhagavad Gita is quoted in Shloka 269, Nadveshti sampravrittani nanivrittani kankshati udasinavadasina iti grantibhidochyate. That means audasinya is not a vidhi, it's not prescribed. Udasinavat. Otherwise there will be no difference between a tree or a deceased person or a lazy person. Even Jada Bharata was not inert like a rock. He only wanted to move away from the Jana Samsarga. He wanted to be in Ekanta. It's very important that a sadhaka should be well rooted in Vairagya, Jnana and Uparati. One has to steadily proceed in sadhana towards Jnana. Here Vidyaranya Mahaswami says that if one attains Tattva Jnana, but he is not really deep rooted in Vairagya and Uparati, because of some Purvakrita Punya he has attained the Jnana, yet there is still no iota of doubt that he will be a Mukta. He may not be a Jivan Mukta, but definitely he will have Videha Kaivalya. He says the final state of sadhana of Uparati should be as good as Sushupti in waking state. One should be totally unaware of the things around. But having said this, Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji assures that there is no difference in jnana ultimately. Going back to Shloka 235, Na nirodho na chotpattir na baddho naiva sadhakaha na mumukshur na vai mukta ityesha paramarthata mayakhyaya kamadhenor vatsau jiveshwarau vubhau yathecham pibatam dvaitam tattvam tu advaitam evahi. The final stand is that there is neither bandha nor moksha, nor srishti nor laya, na mumukshu, na mukti, All this happens in Dvaita Bhava. In Advaita Bhava, none of this exists. And he also says, there is a Kamadhenu called Maya, which has two calves, one Jiva and Ishvara. Let the Dvaitis drink the Dvaita from this Kamadhenu, but Tattvam tu Advaitameva hi. Now, concluding the Prakarana, Chitradeepa Prakarana, Sri Vidyaranya Mahaswami once again refers to Chitrapata. He says, just as an artist creates variety of pictures on a clean cloth, similarly, Maya creates variety of forms on Atma Chaitanya, which is Shuddha. So now he says, ignore the pictures and realize the Chaitanya that is always in pure form. Shlokas 289 and 290. Jagat chitram svachaitanye pate chitramivarpitam mayaya tadupekshayaiva chaitanyam parisheshyatam chitradipamidam nityam yenu sandadhate buddhaha pashyantopi jagat chitram te muhyanti na purvavat. So the prayojana of Chitradeepa is as follows. One who constantly does anusandhana on this Chitradeepa Prakarana will not be deluded even if he sees variety of forms in this universe. This concludes the Prakarana. Actually, in the course of this Prakarana, there are many pockets of arguments which are very interesting. They can be done separately by anyone who is interested. If there are any questions, please post it, because we have many well-read sadhakas and vidwans amongst us, and whose replies will be beneficial to all the others. Shri Sadguru Charanaravindarpanamastu. Om Tat Sat.